Hello, dear trainers. Our lesson today is about building minimum viable products and the art of product prototype. So basically, it's a deeper application of the canvas. Canvas was the structure, and now we are building the real product. And it's lean innovation because it's the art of innovating and building up our product prototype and product thinking. To begin with, in a world where speed, adaptability, and user-centric design define success, the ability to test ideas quickly and learn from real feedback is no longer optional, is essential. So what we're doing is a mandatory thing to get the structure, to build the prototype, and to put in our product into real market via a small version. This course is a gateway to mastering the mindset and methods behind building minimum viable products and leveraging prototype thinking to accelerate innovation. Our agenda is as follows. We'll start by a minimum viable products definition and essentials, products prototype, how they work with each other. Again, those are two principles that are complementary to each other. The key differences between them, examples of MVP and product prototype, and then a summary of all. A minimum viable product is a functional version of product with just enough features to satisfy early adopters. It's a foundational concept in lean startup and agile methodologies, and it refers to the most basic version of a product that can be released to users for testing. It's a hypothesis to solve key problems and deliver a constant benefit with minimal resources and development efforts. Okay? The MVP is designed to validate assumptions about user needs and market demand, collect feedback by guiding future development, reduce risk by avoiding overbuilding before confirming value, and accelerate time to market with the learning cycles that we get through the feedback. What we mean by the elements of the minimum viable product, first of all, the purpose of it is to launch quickly and learn from real user interactions. The reason we're doing so via the most essential features, not frills. So we're tackling within the product what is very essential, leading to the problem resolution. Early adopters or test users, and these are the people we get the feedback in the canvas, which is the number 2 from the problem to the customers. So these are the customers. Outcome is real world data on usability, demand, and product market fit. We get real assumptions. And an example that I can provide over here is a ride sharing app, minimum viable product that might only include user registration, ride request, and driver matching without rating or payment integration. So we just putting on a prototype into the market, minimum viable product. The prototype thinking, however, focuses on quickly exploring ideas through simplified models. Both are essential in product development, but serve different purposes. It is the practice of rapidly turning ideas into tangible models to test, learn, and refine resolutions before final implementation, and is very central to design thinking and innovation processes where the goal is to explore possibilities, uncover user need and user use, reduce the risk through experimentation, because the prototype thinking is a follow-up to the MVP. We cannot do one without the other. So basically here we are developing what is very essential into the product to serve the different purposes that we get from the MVP. So we're doing this so we can test quickly, learn quickly, and refine the final solutions before we implement the product to the market once and for all. Basically, the prototype thinking are early models or mock-up used to visualize and test ideas before building the actual product. We said the key principles of PT is to fail fast and learn faster. Mistakes made during prototyping are valuable learning opportunities. We check what went on wrong, what should be changed. It's a low fidelity first. We start with simple, rough versions to explore ideas without investing heavily. And we're doing to test, of course. It's user-centric because they are tested with real users to uncover insights and validate assumptions. And of course, they are using iterative process where each prototype informs the next evolving toward the better resolution. So we are learning from the process of building. And in other words, we are scaling actually. We are getting close to the final version requested by the customers. The purpose of product thinking is to explore design, functionality, and user experience. To the types, it can be low fidelity, like we can do it on paper, sketch the products on paper, or via digital mockups, like we can draw it in with the high IT tools. And it's done for internal teams, stakeholders, test users, again, those people very close to us who have confidence in our business or our product or service, that can be as test users. The outcome is feedback on usability, design flaws, and feasibility. We always, among those test users, we have to choose ones that we don't know much and others that we know better. So we can get actually even negative feedback without any shame. Like people can tell us exactly what happened. And an example is a clickable mockup of a mobile app to navigate, but does not store data. That stimulates navigation, but does not store data or connect to servers. It's just a trial app. How they work with each other, that's very important because one follows the other definitely. The first one, you brainstorm and you test the flaws and refine the idea. And in the second one, by building, you validate the insights and you create a working product to test in the real world. So you're thinking, we're starting by what? We're starting with the prototype, then we'll build in the MVP. So we sketch the design of the idea, of the process of, for example, if I'm talking about, and I think it's coming up with the example we have used in the Lean Canvas and Lean Startup. I'm going to use most probably the same example, and we're going to walk through refining it via both MVP and prototype. So sometimes it's a process design that can tell us where we're going to get the raw material from, for example, to the manufacturing, the different steps of the process of manufacturing, to installing quality, to testing, to inspection, to packaging, to delivery, and then to get a feedback. So we can actually brainstorm those into sketch flows and then put a small version into the market for testing. So key differences, of course, the goal of the first one of the prototype is to explore and visualize ideas, while the other is to validate, because in the other we have a real product. The functionality of the first is non-functional or simulated, and the other one is fully functional with the core features because we are putting it into the market. The speed of the first one is very fast to build, and the other one, of course, it takes more time and resources because we get inspired from the first one. The feedback type is design and usability for the first one, and it's real world usage and performance. They're gonna taste, they're gonna touch, they're gonna feel, they're gonna smell. So they are gonna have exposure to the real product or service, not the finalized one, but a test one. Example of minimum viable products is here, for example, early version of a Dropbox, where the goal is to test if people wanted a simple way to sync files across devices. This is the products we're talking about. What they built is a basic version of Dropbox that allows users to upload the files and access it from another device, where the key features is the file upload, syncage, and access, no sharing, no mobile app, no advanced setting, and the result is validated, strong, and user interest, and helped secure funding to build the full product. So the summary of both will be I'm sorry, before we move on into the summary, here is an example of a prototype. First of all, is the example that I have used over here is an Airbnb, like the initial concept. We test the idea of renting out space in our home to strangers. We build it via a simple website with pictures of the apartment and the booking form. The features is just enough to stimulate the experience, no payment system, no host network, nothing. And the result is helping the founders understand user behavior and refine the idea before building a full platform. So we got an example. We were exposed to example of each. Then we'll move on to a follow-up of the example that I mentioned for the Lean Startup and the Lean Canvas. To summarize both of them, we have the aspects, the purpose, the functionality of each. When we talk about prototype example, the purpose is to explore the concept for user and user interest. And of course, for the second one is to test real world demand. Prototype example, again, for functionality is to simulate the experience of the Airbnb, and for the MVP is to fully working with limited features. The concept validation and idea refinement was actually the outcome for the prototype, while for the Dropbox is the user validation and funding. Before concluding, I would like to move on into the example I mentioned in the previous lesson, which we're going to get to it, inshallah, either in the recap again or face-to-face, because we also have questions that I have shared. The both investing heavily. So we have prototype thinking has 3 steps. We test the concept first. And remember, the idea was the homemade Moroccan paste, sweets and the cookies. So here we have here the step 1. I'm sorry. The first step is for the prototype thinking, to test the concept via recipe testing, package mockups, and feedback loop. And again, second step is to start selling the sample via products offer, packaging, sales channel, pricing, and delivery. The third step is to learn and grow. We add new flavors and seasonal specials. We launch a simple website or online, and we partner with cafes or local shop. We can also offer gift boxes for holiday or events. So basically what we got out of this prototype thinking and MVP is actual a draft of the idea besides the structure that covers more elements. Now we are close to marketing the ideas, putting it into the market. So we sketch it and then we build the prototype to test it. As we conclude this journey through MVP and product thinking, it's clear that building successful product isn't about launching quickly. We have to launch smartly. And we have explored how MVPs help validate ideas with minimum resources, and how product thinking ensures those ideas that are deeply rooted in solving real user problems, which will bring us back to the first point of our MVP. So I can call the end of this lecture, and hope that it has been fruitful enough, and we'll make sure we'll meet and discuss more details. Before closing up, I have prepared again some questions for discussion. The first one is about when we talk about falling in love with the problem, not the solution. What does it mean, and how can you think of a time this mindset helped or hindered a product? How do you balance user need with business goals when defining a product vision? In what ways can product thinking be applied outside of tech, like in education, healthcare, or even government? You share an example of a successful MVP that you admire doing your research. How you made it effective, and how do you decide what feedback from MVP testing is worth acting upon, and what role does storytelling play in communicating your MVP to stakeholders or users? So thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed the lecture.